Thursday, April 3rd, 2025. It's opening day. The reopening of the Franklin Square station is today. I'm going to take a round trip ride on PATCO from 16th and Locust to Lindenwold and back, and then Railfanning along the line, including the Franklin Square station. Supposedly it's going to be a beautiful structure. Okay, we're getting ready to depart 16th and Locust. We're due out at 12:47. Leaving 16th and Locust, we are currently on the extension of the old bridge line, which was extended from 8th and Market to here. That was opened in 1953.
Locust next, connection with the Broad Street subway. Well, 13 and Locust.
You'll notice that PATCO occasionally does left-handed running, but for the most part it's right-handed running. But today they did quite a bit of left-handed running for some reason. Usually track work or dispatching problems, traffic delays.
And Locust Street next. Access to Jefferson, Pennsylvania, and Wills Eye Hospitals. Ninth, 10th, and Locust.
And here we curve to the north, off from underneath Locust Street to run underneath 8th Street, to our next stop at 8th and Market.
Connections with Market, Frankfurt, and Ridge Avenue Subway, The Flash, and access to Pennsylvania Convention Center. Eighth and Market.
And we are now arriving at 8th and Market Streets. This was the original western terminus of the bridge line. Here you connect with the Market Street subway elevated, now the L, and the ridge spur of the Broad Street subway, now the B3. Okay, the next station approach will be Franklin Square. Opens today, but the station isn't open yet. It's not going to open until 1:37 p.m. on a Philadelphia-bound train.
City Hall Station next. Access to Rutgers University, Camden Waterfront, and Freedom Mortgage Pavilion.
That was one of the last times you will hear that announcement departing east out of 8th and Market. Next stop will be Franklin Square as of 1:43 p.m. going in this direction.
No smoking on the train, please. Thank you.
Here it is. We'll be riding on one of the last trains that will not stop here. Within an hour, trains will be serving this station. this section is where the bridge line got its name. This is the Benjamin Franklin Bridge we are entering and crossing. It was built in 1926. The tracks along with the road reaches a height of 135 feet over the river. This bridge is similar to the Williamsburg Bridge in New York City and the Manhattan Bridge in New York City in that they carry both highway and subway traffic. And even those bridges' maximum height over the river is 135 feet. When bridge line service began in 1936, they acquired a fleet of 26 B-2 Brill Company cars that they used for this service between Philadelphia and Camden. These cars had a modernistic look to them. They were designed by a Louis Clowder. They had a nice blue and gray paint scheme. They had rounded car bodies at the ends. They had rounded windows at the ends, including the front of the cab windows. And they were very powerful with their traction motors. They needed to be climbing the grades on this bridge. There's two examples of those cars still in service in a museum. The Seashore Trolley Museum has the 1018 and the 1023. I would love to see those run. I think the Rock Hill Trolley Museum in Pennsylvania has one too. And these cars, when they were built, they were nicknamed Flash Gordon cars, because around that time, a famous comic strip character by the name of Flash Gordon came into being, and he was pretty popular. And he was also featured in movie serials where he was played by Buster Crabbe, and the evil Emperor Ming was played by Charles Middleton. When bridge line service ended in early 1969 and PATCO began with their new fleet of cars, the old Brills were put into the Broad Street subway pool and painted into their typical burgundy red. You'll find one example of that car rotting away at the Fern Rock Yard on the Broad Street subway's northern terminal. While crossing the Delaware River, we left Pennsylvania and we are entering New Jersey in the city of Camden. Well, here we switch to right-handed running as we arrive into the City Hall station. City Hall in Camden is 371 feet high, and it's the tallest building in the Philadelphia area outside of the city of Philadelphia.
Station next. Access to Cooper University Hospital, Bowen University.
We are approaching and about to enter the Broadway Camden station. This is also known as the Walter Rand Transportation Center. Up until 1966, there was a railroad station here that served both the Pennsylvania Railroad and the Pennsylvania Reading Seashore lines.
Broadway.
And here at the Walter Rand Transportation Center, a new light rail line is being built southwest to Glassboro, New Jersey. Should open in the next several years. And the river line from Camden to Trenton also serves this location.
Broadway.
We haven't been going very fast up to this point, but once we clear this little tunnel here, we'll take off like a shot and go up to a maximum speed of 65 miles an hour. On the right, when we come out of the tunnel, you will see an old PRSL line, now part of Conrail Shire Assets, that goes down to Glassboro, Vineland, and Millville, New Jersey. Listen to the motors on these cars at high speed. Believe it or not, those are motors from old Metro North M1A cars that PATCO purchased from a scrap dealer when they rebuilt these cars.
Avenue.
The fleet of PATCO cars are built by the Budd Company and Vickers Canada. The Budd Company cars are called PATCO 1 cars, and they were in single and married pairs, and the PATCO 2 cars were built by Vickers Canada. All these cars have been rebuilt by Alstom, and they are entirely married pairs today. These cars are equipped with automatic train operation. They run more efficiently and faster in ATO, but occasionally the operator will run them manually just to keep in practice.
Collingswood Station next. Collingswood. Collingswood.
PATCO is one of the few rapid transit systems that runs 24 hours, 7 days a week.
Collingswood. Westmont Station next. Westmont. Westmont.
Fare collection on PATCO requires that you buy a ticket from a machine, then you slip it through the turnstile and it lets you in, and then you have to slip it into the turnstile when you get off to let you out. The Bay Area Rapid Transit has a similar system to this. It freaked me out when I first rode this in 1969. I had never seen anything like this, as I was always used to dropping subway tokens in turnstiles to get in.
Haddonfield Station next. Haddonfield.
Here on the extreme left, down in a cut, is New Jersey Transit's Philadelphia to Atlantic City line. This used to be the old PRSL route for trains out of Philadelphia. The line from Camden to West Haddonfield was abandoned in favor of this route.
Haddonfield. Haddonfield. Woodcrest Station next. Woodcrest.
The New Jersey Transit Atlantic City line parallels us all the way to Lindenwold, the terminal for the PATCO. We will see New Jersey Transit train 4624 en route from Atlantic City to Philadelphia pass us between Woodcrest and Ashland, which I mistakenly identified as a PATCO train. The overpasses that we are coming to, the first one is Interstate 295, and running parallel to it afterwards is the New Jersey Turnpike. These two freeways run pretty close together for quite a distance here. One is a free road and the Turnpike is obviously a toll road. As we approach the Woodcrest station, which was opened in February of 1980, it's currently undergoing renovation, so we're switching to the middle track here.
Woodcrest. Woodcrest. Ashland Station next. Ashland. Ashland.
This is Ashland. Between here and our last stop at Lindenwold, we will pass the New Jersey Transit 4624 with a nice Jeep 40 PH-2B on the point, and following that will be a historic PATCO train.
Lindenwold Station next. Last stop. Connections to New Jersey Transit and Atlantic City Rail Service, and access to Rowan University School of Osteopathic Medicine. All passengers, please leave the train.
Okay, the approaching train is the 115 out of Lindenwold. This will be the very first train that will stop at Franklin Square. I hope hope that's not going to Franklin Square. That was a New Jersey Transit from Atlantic City to Philadelphia. Here comes the 115 out of Lindenwold. This is the very first train that will stop at the rejuvenated Franklin Square station. Rejuvenation, start of a new era. I will ride out of here what will be the very second train into Philadelphia that stops at Franklin Square.
Lindenwold Station. All passengers, please leave the train.
This is our last stop, Lindenwold, New Jersey. This is where PATCO has their main shop, and you can also connect to the New Jersey Transit Atlantic City line here. Well, the next PATCO train out of Lindenwold is at 1:30, but somebody already grabbed the Railfan window seat, so I'll try it for the next one at 1:45. So I'll be on the third Philadelphia-bound train that stops at Franklin Square. The very first train to Philadelphia that stopped there arrived at 1:37, and the first Lindenwold-bound train that will stop there will arrive there at 1:43. Here comes the 135 arriving Lindenwold. Well, let's take a complete ride back to 16th and Locust in Philadelphia, and this time we will be stopping at Franklin Square.
Ashland Station next. Ashland.
On this train, you're going to hear an announcement that hasn't been heard in 46 years. Franklin Square.
Excellent. Woodcrest Station next. Woodcrest. Woodcrest. Haddonfield Station next. Haddonfield. Haddonfield. Westmont Station next. Westmont. 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 Collingswood Station next. Collingswood. 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 Ferry Avenue is next. Access to Virgil R. Lakewood Lawrence Hospital. Ferry Avenue. Ferry Avenue. Broadway station next. Access to Cooper University Hospital, Rowan University, Hampton County Community College, and connections with New Jersey Transit Bus and River Line service.
As we get closer to downtown Camden, you'll see on the left local freight coming off the old PRSL line that comes up from Glassboro, Vineland, Millville. This could be one of the local freights that goes into Pavonia Yard. Could be the Hainesport or the Deepwater job, perhaps. Looks like he's got a couple of GP40-2s on the front. If you look hard enough, you can just make out the locomotives curving to the right over the top of the tunnel we're approaching.
Broadway. Broadway. City Hall.
Okay, please, as of about 1 hour ago, Franklin Square Station is now open. Next stop will be Franklin Square.
Franklin Square next. Access to the National Constitution Center, Independence Visitor Center, and Chinatown.
How long did you have to wait to hear that announcement? As we enter the Benjamin Franklin Bridge crossing to go into Philadelphia, I'll tell you a little bit about the history of the Franklin Square station on PATCO. It was opened in 1936 as a bridge line station and closed due to low ridership in 1939. It reopened in 1952 for a short time and then closed once again. It opened in 1976 for the bicentennial celebration and ultimately closed in 1979 due to low ridership until today. The location around Franklin Square today has become much more gentrified and commercialized. The National Constitution Center is nearby, as well as Chinatown. For the longest time, that area was kind of dingy, sort of a Skid Row part of Philadelphia, but it's improved quite a bit since then, and it's become a much more popular destination, which I will hope it will be forever. This is historic. The train buffs knew it. They were out in force.
Franklin Square.
New station. Oh, he be doing what I'm doing.
That shit big though, bro.
I used to do that. I did that for the Market Frankfurt line.
Yeah.
I did it for the Broad Street sub.
Yeah. That's how you get it, man. Taking videos, views up, subscribing up.
I've been wanting to go to New York. Record the train to New York.
If the Market Station has connections with Market Frankfurt and Avenue Subway, the Flash, and access to the Pennsylvania Convention Center.
The Greyhound is like $20 round trip.
Market.
You gotta pay for the Greyhound to on. Just remember, you used to be able to buy the ticket. You used to be able to buy the ticket in person, but they shut the Greyhound terminal down. So now, for you to get a Greyhound
Transit
ticket,
bucks
you gotta buy that shit
everywhere.
online.
They're planning a trip to New York. Gee, I wonder when I'll go to New York from here.
Hazen Market.
This is an important stop. You got the Market Street subway and the Ridge Spur of the Broad Street line.
At Locust Street next. Access to Jefferson, Pennsylvania, and Wills Eye Hospitals. And Locust. Ninth, 10th, and Locust. Twelfth, 13th, and Locust next. Connection with the Broad Street subway. And Locust. Fifteenth, 16th, and Locust. Last stop. Fifteenth, 16th, and Locust. Last stop.
Here we are, Franklin Square Station. Brand spanking new. Well, the station itself isn't. This was an original Bridge Line station, which opened in 1936, but it's closed several times, and it's reopening today, hopefully forever. They even have a welcome desk. to celebrate the occasion here. Wow.
There you go.
Chance to spin the wheel and win a prize.
You're welcome. You can use it as a magnet on your refrigerator as well.
How are you?
Very good. How are you?
All right, I had to come down from Long Island to see this.
Oh my goodness, that's a long way to come.
First time I rode this was in October of '69. I was 15 years old.
Oh my
So,
goodness.
tells you I'm a little dated.
Well, it tells me that you're at least 39.
At least.
Yes.
Like Jack Benny, 39 years old.
What is it? Yes, but I know who Jack Benny is.
Oh yeah,
So,
she
that
probably
dates
doesn't know.
me. I know who Jack Benny
Now cut that out, Rochester.
is. Well, he's a Phillies fan, so he's good.
What's that?
You're a Phillies fan. so
Indeed I am. Don't think I don't get abused up there.
I bet you do. I'm sure you do.
You wouldn't believe some of the horrible messages I get on Facebook. Oh.
Being a Phillies fan, yeah, I can imagine.
Hey, you got to root for the best, right?
Want to take a spin?
Great. What's the prize here? Let's see.
Let's see what you get. What you got? Is it a clip or a pass holder?
All right, let's see. Spin it. I get a PATCO pen. All right. I need something to write with.
There you go.
Thank you very much.
Welcome.
All right. Yeah, this is familiar design from the Bridge Line days. Bridge Line ran from pretty much this part of PATCO over the bridge to Camden with those old Brill blue liners with the rounded corners and the ghoulish fronts of those things. Franklin Square. Believe it or not, that's a town on Long Island in Nassau County that doesn't have train service. It's Buff Central here today. The guy in the middle I've seen many times. He was there for the last day of weekday service of grade crossings in New Hyde Park on the Long Island Railroad. Well, here's the new map of PATCO. Note the addition up there. Here we have a Lindenwold bound train coming in. Well, this is definitely the first time I'm seeing a train standing on this platform in my 70 years on this earth. Sixteenth and Locust bound. Here's those Brill cars I was telling you about that did the Bridge Line service from 16th and Locust to Camden. Notice the rounded corners on the windows like that. And the fronts just had that arched eyeball, and it just looked kind of ghoulish, the front of those things. But they made a lot of noise with their traction motors. As I said before, on Long Island in Nassau County, there's a town called Franklin Square. It's located on the Hempstead Turnpike between West Hempstead and Elmont. Those endpoints have train service, but not Franklin Square. It's one of the larger towns on the island that does not have train service. And here comes another Lindenwold-bound train. I should mention that PATCO trains always sound the horns when they're entering or leaving a tunnel and rounding a curve. The station is currently patrolled by a number of Delaware River Port Authority police. DRPA on the backs. Check out the rest of the station, go outside and walk around a little bit. It's a very warm day here in Philadelphia, but it's very chilly down on the station. Looks like they're taking the balloons down. Here's the outside of the PATCO station here at Franklin Square. Beautiful glass structure. I want to tell you, it's warm and muggy here. It's 76 degrees. Down on the platform, it was freezing. Must have been about 40 or 50 degrees down there. I've been here once before around the Christmas season several years ago at night. It's all lit up. The opening celebration is over. Early this afternoon when the station opened, there were dignitaries everywhere, including the mayor of Philadelphia, Sherelle Parker. Man, it's just down a little escalator and it's 20 degrees cooler down here. Well, we'll do some trackside PATCO railfanning at a few places where the trains come in and out pretty quick, and then take one more cab ride back to town. And this is the Ferry Avenue station. This is part of Camden, New Jersey. Once they come out of the tunnel after Broadway, they take off the rest of the way to Lindenwold pretty much. Philadelphia bound. Here comes a Lindenwold-bound train arriving, headed east with 6 cars. I remember when this system started, they used to run as little as 2 cars. I love the way these trains take off like rockets out of these stations. There was a time late-night trains years ago ran with just 1 car, but now that they're all married pairs, the minimum you would have would be 2. The first 2 cars on this train were former single cars, and you can tell because where the 2 cars are joined, there's a large window where the cab compartment was once housed. So here comes a Philadelphia bound train. I'm at the other end of the platform. This is the last elevated station or open station on PATCO heading into Philadelphia. We moved a couple of stops east at Westmont. Philadelphia bound on this windy and gloomy day, but warm. Boy, this is a noisy trestle. The concrete base gives it a totally different sound. Westbound equipment move, getting prepared for the rush hour onslaught out of Philadelphia. And we're at Haddonfield now. Haddonfield Station is built on a cut along with New Jersey Transit's Atlantic City line, which is down below against the wall there. Years ago, this was a stop for Atlantic City trains on the PRSL. And here comes a Lindenwold bound train coming into Haddonfield. Maximum speed for those trains is 65, but with the one of those traction motors, it sounds like it's going much faster. Years ago, it used to do 75 miles an hour. And we're at Ashland. Lindenwold bound train running wrong main. He's moving, man. Equipment train for Philly.
Excellent.
Sounds like it needs a little wheel truing, making a little lightning storm. All right, here's a Lindenwold bound train. We'll ride this to Lindenwold and then we'll head back to Philadelphia. Well, we'll take one more head-end ride back to Philadelphia from Lindenwold. We had a very young, friendly operator here, and he was having trouble with the train arcing when it started up. You could hear it several times. All right, we'll take this to 8th and Market in Philadelphia.
Ashland Station next. Ashland. Excellent. Excellent. Woodcrest Station next. Woodcrest.
Man, this train is really bucking bronco. I can hear a lot of arcing out there.
Woodcrest.
This is car 1042.
Haddonfield Station next. Haddonfield. Haddonfield.
These motors at high speed sound very much like old Long Island Railroad Bud M1s and M1As from Metro North. And why not? That's where PATCO got these motors from. A scrap dealer in Ohio from those cars.
Westmont Station next. Westmont. Westmont. Collingswood Station next. Collingswood. Collingswood.
Supposedly these cars operate automatically and the motorman just opens and closes the door. But this young engineer is doing it, or motorman is doing it manually. I would think it would be more interesting to run it manually.
Ferry Avenue is next. Access to virtual Arlington Florence Hospital. Ferry Avenue. Ferry Avenue. access to Cooper University Hospital, Rowan University, Camden County Community College, and connections with New Jersey Transit Bus and River Line service.
Oh God, why me? That's awful. No, that isn't an RS5T or a K5 LLA horn. Sounds a lot like the horns on the trolleys at the Scranton Trolley Museum. No, I wasn't blowing my nose there.
Broadway.
and gentlemen, may I have your attention, please? Franklin Square Station is now officially open. It will be the next stop. Thank you for riding back.
Franklin Square next. Access National Constitution Center, Independence Visitor Center, and Chinatown.
Geez, I thought the silver line of four horns were bad. I need a drink.
Franklin Square.
Welcome to Franklin Square, America's newest, yet one of the oldest transit stations.
Franklin Square.
That grating cacophony is too much. I mercifully am getting off at the next stop. You're doing a hell of a job. Keep up the good work.
Thank you. Have a good one.
You too. The young lad is not responsible for that bad horn. He's just doing his job and working with what he's given. But if I can in the future, I will boycott riding car 1042. Well, here I am in the Moynihan Train Hall in New York City. Had an interesting day in Philadelphia. Got to witness the reopened Franklin Square PATCO station. Got to ride PATCO a bit, got to explore a little bit, spent a lot of time with PATCO. It was fun. As soon as I finished with that, I went out for dinner, some wine, good food, and I walked back to 30th Street, and that's when things didn't end well. When I got to 30th Street, boom, the trains were not running. There were no trains running out of Philadelphia at all. Between Philadelphia and Trenton, there was a trespasser strike in Bristol. Apparently 3 people were on the track for some strange reason, and they got zapped by Amtrak 85 from Boston to Richmond. That happened around 6:10 in the evening, and the railroad didn't start running again until about 10:45. I was milling around 30th Street for hours. I was on train 656 from Philadelphia to New York, supposed to leave at 7:40. The train wound up being canceled. Then I rebooked on 6:58. That train wound up being canceled. I got emails telling me the train was canceled, but yet they still ran. So I was screaming at the gate agent trying to get on 6:58, and she said, "Oh, you can't do it. You got no ticket. So go to the ticket office." So, I mean, meanwhile, there were trains backed up everywhere. Everything was stopped. There must have been about 10 trains sitting in 30th Street waiting to leave. So I finally went to the ticket office, told them what happened, said they canceled 656, they canceled 658. I got nothing. So I got my reservation number, and he says, "See gate 7 over there? Hurry over there right now and get on that train." So I did. It was train 176, which was supposed to leave at 5:31. Didn't actually leave until 10:45 when they got things running. So at least I had a place to sit and be comfortable. Supposed to get into New York at 10 after 9, actually. Wound up getting in at 20 after 12. I was worried I wasn't going to be able to get the 12:44 back to Lindenhurst, because there'd be nothing until 2:44 after that. But fortunately, I got time. Made it here about 12:25, so I'll catch it and get home. Gonna be home sometime after 2. What a day.